my name is David Choquette, and this is my webinar for ED571 class. I am working on my Master's in Arts in Teaching in Elementary Education at NC State University. For this project, I read the book The Daily Five, Fostering Literacy Independence in the Elementary Grades, which is written by Gail Bushey and Joan Moser. What is the Daily Five? The authors of this book acknowledge that teaching kids to read is difficult. Reading is a complicated task, and whatever elementary grade you teach, you'll have many students reading at many different levels. Most teachers like to divide the class into smaller reading groups that are ability-based to allow more meaningful direct instruction on each student's level. But what are the other kids doing while you're teaching a small group? Usually worksheets and other busy work is what's assigned. But teachers struggle with keeping students on task, and it's really kind of a waste of everyone's time. So the authors of this book developed the Daily Five as a method for organizing literacy instruction that teaches students to work independently almost the whole time, so that even at an early age they can be always engaged in meaningful activities instead of busy work. Here are the 5 activities which students may or may not perform each day. Read to yourself, read to someone, usually a classmate, maybe the teacher, listening to reading, which can be recorded or from another student, word work, which includes grammar, spelling, punctuation sometimes, phonics, that kind of thing, and working on writing, which is just what it sounds like. What are the key aspects of this program? So the first one is that students, even kindergartners and first graders, should be able to perform each of these tasks independently with little guidance from the teacher. This frees the teacher to spend time having conferences with individuals or small groups, assessing progress. I've seen my cooperating teacher implementing this system, and she sometimes also takes time to do grading, organizational tasks, planning, things that she would otherwise have to do after school. A well-implemented Daily Five program should make the teacher's job a lot easier, which is wonderful. What does it do for the students? The tasks of the Daily Five are not just designed to keep the kids busy. They're the key tasks for building literacy. Researchers have identified reading to yourself from a book that's on your reading level and that you chose for yourself to be the #1 way to improve reading skills. This is true not just for little kids, but across all grade levels and ranges of ability. Worksheets just don't provide this kind of results, so the Daily Five completely shuns worksheets. Reading to someone or listening to someone who's reading to you, whether it's a real person or an audiobook, both of those help build fluency and allow you to access books that you might not be able to read independently. Working on writing and word skills, obviously important as well. The authors suggest that if you can do all 5 every day, that would be great, but if you can't, you can set up some sort of system where you do some of the tasks each day. The third important point is how do you get all the kids to do this independent work? You have to carefully and explicitly teach them the behaviors that you want them to demonstrate. The authors advocate introducing each Daily Five task one at a time and spending a great deal of time modeling and practicing before you let the kids do the tasks on their own. For example, on day 1, the teacher can discuss the behavioral norms for the task of just reading to yourself. These might seem obvious to us, but they're new to new students, right? Teachers can get students to model correct and incorrect behaviors in front of the class. Then the whole class will practice the task, but for only 3 minutes. And if they do well, you gradually increase the time they spend on the task until they're doing it for 30 minutes in a row. Only then do you introduce the other tasks, and you would introduce them one at a time. So this emphasis on gradually releasing responsibility, mastering each task before moving on to the next one is crucial. The authors admit that it takes a long time to launch these Daily Five activities, but after the students master it, they're doing meaningful work the whole time. So, you come in 3rd quarter, and for an hour and 20 minutes, the students are actually engaged in reading. No one's off task. After students have mastered the Daily Five task, whole class or small group instruction can be done in 10-minute mini lessons, which can be either during a rotation while the other kids are working on one of the tasks or in between rotations for the whole class. The brevity of these lessons is the key. Young children have short attention spans, and although we want them to build their stamina, get them to read independently for 30 minutes at a time, they won't pay attention to a lesson for 30 minutes. They won't get 30 minutes worth of material out of it. So we break our lessons into bite-sized chunks, and then we can do more than one each day. So we might do a comprehension strategy for 10 minutes, then spend 30 minutes on a daily 5 task, then come back together for a grammar or a phonics lesson, then work independently again. Depending on how much time you have, you can put 2 or 3 different lessons in it each day, and it really starts to add up as the quarters and semesters go on. You get a lot of teaching in without anyone becoming exhausted. And rotating students through a variety of tasks each day keeps them engaged, keeps them interested. Hopefully no one's getting bored. So I've found a couple of strategies that I think could be applied even for teachers who aren't teaching little kids how to read. Teaching behaviors is just as important as teaching content. Gradually releasing responsibility from the teacher to the students. Researchers have shown us time and time again that this is important, but teachers often shortchange the process. They model a behavior or technique once and then expect students to be able to do it on their own the very next time. The authors urge us to slow down and scaffold and practice the behavior a lot before we expect students to do them on their own. Then they even suggest reviewing these behaviors frequently, even after the kids have gotten good at them, just to help remember how to do it right. They use the term muscle memory to describe how effortless the practice of the daily 5 tasks should be after students master them. And once again, it takes a long time, but it pays off later in the year because your literacy instruction goes like clockwork. I think that gradually releasing strategy and emphasis on teaching behaviors as well as content could be applied to any age and subject area, not just elementary literacy. Older students might be able to catch on quicker, but we shouldn't just assume that they know the behaviors that are expected of them when they come into the classroom. Another great strategy is the emphasis on independence. It's kind of mind-blowing to come into a room full of 6-year-olds and see them doing real, useful work independently. A lot of people might say it can't be done, but with persistence, with proper training, 6-year-olds can be taught to do most anything, and the students are more motivated because they get to choose the tasks, they choose the books they read, and they're also just so good at it. Mastering a task is motivating for everyone. The teachers are empowered because they have more time to do the things they need to do, and I think that this is something all teachers should apply. You know, I see teachers come home from school exhausted, but really it should be the students who come home from school exhausted. We should be getting them to work hard, and if they're not working harder than us, why is that? You know, we should reorganize our instruction. So, my reaction to the book, it was mostly positive. I've seen the Daily 5 work before. I like how it's flexible and adaptable, and it's not really a curriculum, it's just a method of organization. All 5 activities are meaningful and useful, and the mini lesson thing is really liberating because, I mean, we've all seen little kids start to flag and get distracted after just a few minutes of trying to pay attention, so let's meet them where they are. I also had a few qualms and reservations about the Daily 5. As far as getting a 2-hour literacy block, I've never actually seen that happen in a classroom in a young grade of elementary school. There's just so much to do, and moving the kids down the hall to the bathroom, snack, recess, stuff like that. You're lucky to get 60 minutes, so I think you can still apply the Daily 5, but realistically, you're not going to get all 5 done. You might get, 2, maybe 3 rotations in each day. My other issue is that I feel like the Daily 5 puts a low emphasis on writing, which is a shame because writing is so important. It's really the other side of the literacy coin, and I think to master writing, you need to spend a lot of time on it instead of just 1/5 of your literacy time on writing. So I think a lot of experts would agree that kids need to spend more time writing in order to get good at writing. But overall, I think the Daily 5 is an excellent way to organize your classroom. I think there's some ideas in here that can be applied to whatever age of students or subject that you have, not just literacy. So I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Have a nice day.